Hockey Podcast with James.
Welcome, Puck Boys.
Derek.
I'm looking forward to looking like Phil for the rest of my life.
Spencer.
He's an asshole, but goddamn, I would love to meet that guy.
And Max.
All right, let's get this started. This is episode 7 of the Puck Boys podcast. My name is Max, and we have, first off, a little bit of a congratulatory message. James, you are engaged. Congrats.
Hey, thank you.
Oh,
thank
congratulations,
you,
Jimbo.
Thank God for you, James.
So,
Way to go, buddy.
I don't know if you want to say her name, but you and the missus, how long have you guys been together?
8 years. It was time. It was definitely time. The parents were looking at us going, what the fuck? What's
She
the
was
ring?
driving the hoop?
Yeah, a little bit. So,
She drives your hoop? You're a lucky boy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know it. But
It's a good thing you locked her down because I heard that you leave the ovens on every time you cook.
yeah, that's an issue I have. I like to burn houses down, so I leave ovens on. But yeah, no, we're engaged. Took her out to West Van, tricked her to go on the walk with me, and, Bob's your uncle. But
Generally.
That's how they always go.
That's how it goes. Hey, I want to get married. Bob's your uncle.
You know, it's funny. Like, I'm more upset that, we both posted on Facebook and she has more likes on her post. And not like a little bit. Like, she's got like 50 plus, more likes than me. So,
She's a little cooler than you
all,
gum.
just all the girls on your Facebook are sad that you're off the market.
oh, okay, sure.
I'm just trying to make you feel better by lying.
Shouldn't they like mine? I don't know. Okay. Yeah.
They're upset with you that they can't be yours.
Ah, oof, thanks, guys.
I really want a guy who leaves on the oven. It's
Yeah.
always cold here.
Well, and also good news. Just want to update, our listeners on my car. We fixed it, so we don't feel, high off the fumes of coolant. So, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, you guys are much more even keel this time. It's good to
Kind of
see.
liked it, though.
I'm going to miss those fumes. It was a nice
be
drive
ch-
up. Felt
You're going to
a
be chasing
little
that
hairy.
dragon for the rest of your life.
All right, boys. Well, anyways, let's move on to, fantasy hockey related items. What are we talking about today, Max?
We are going to talk about overperformers. So the season is still young, and there's a lot of guys who have jumped off the page a little bit on these stat pages. Guys who are looking really, really good. I think the one that we need to talk about first and foremost is James Neal.
Yeah.
Holy
I think we do.
shit.
So is this sustainable? These hot start guys, is this just a streak, or is this them for the year?
This is unsustainable for James Neal.
Absolutely
James Neal
no
is
chance.
he's killing it. I mean, he has 8 goals in 6 games. Right now, he's on pace for, I believe, 110 goals. So I don't think that's going to happen. He's projected his fantasy points right now, in at least our league of record, is 33.25. He's projected to get 454 fantasy points, which is
That's real good.
a crazy amount. I think Ovi last year maybe got 300, so he's on a crazy pace here, and I don't think he's going to be able to keep it up.
No.
At all.
No, good for him. He's done well.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
I love the stat that he already has more goals this year with Edmonton than he did all last year with Calgary.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Calgary's got to feel a little silly now that they got Lucic, and Lucic isn't looking so good. He's looking more like a old school hockey guy, which in this new age of hockey,
Punch.
yeah, he can punch, he can hit, but I mean he can't score. So too bad for Calgary.
I'm on a different page than you guys. Like, I don't think that James Neal is going to hit up 400 plus points. Like, I just ultimately think he's going to have a fucking huge season.
How many goals?
Well, yeah, by
I'm
cooling down.
going to flat out say he's going to get 35 plus.
Ooh, you willing
Yeah,
to put money
he's
on it?
obviously not
Yeah.
going to finish with 110 goals and 450 fantasy points, but could he hit 40 goals?
Well, he can,
Yes.
and the reason why is because he's proven it in the past. And so
Yeah.
when he played on teams like Dallas and Pittsburgh and then fucking Nashville and even Vegas, man, he crushed it in Vegas. He killed it there. I remember
on
I
so many
traded
teams.
for him, and it was just kind of like a throw-in. He was my throw-in guy, and he ended up being one of my better players because I finished off at 11th place that year. But basically, I feel like he's going to be playing with Connor McDavid, and he's going to be playing with Leon Draisaitl, and he will put up those points because he's an all-star previously, and he's going to prove it again. Calgary just wasn't the right fit for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. And also the power play. I think we really need to think about that. He's already scored 6 power play goals of his 8 goals. So he's going to be getting goals just on the power play alone. And with Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, that's a dangerous power play now.
A couple of those were pretty dusty, but we'll give it to him.
Dude, you got to take the dusty goals, man. That's how
gotta
you make
take
it in this league.
Yeah,
but
for
we're
sure.
talking about James Neal at 6 games played right now. So 6 games, 8 goals, 0 assists. He's on
Zero.
Phil numbers right now.
He's a
Yeah.
Cy Young candidate.
He is. And so, I mean, but let's talk about Edmonton in general. I mean, right now they're 5-1-0, and this is not so current events, right? So out of the first games, 6 games of the season, they've scored 23 goals. They have 16 goals against. They're +7 in goal differential. Their power play is working at 40% right now. So 8 power play goals of the 20 opportunities that they've had. So that's pretty awesome. I mean, Edmonton's off to a really good start. There's a couple other guys that have done really well. I mean, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Who we literally just watched score because we've got the Edmonton game on right now.
Oh, well.
my man.
There you go. Well, before this game, they each had 12 points each, and they were leading the league in points, I believe. So pretty awesome stuff. Both of them had 4 goals and 8 assists in 6 games. So,
Performance enhancers?
ooh,
What
question
are they
mark?
using over there? What are they feeding these guys?
They're too top line heavy, and if any of those guys at the top get injured, they're in deep trouble.
But they've got James Neal now.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean,
Now
when
they
you-
got a third superstar.
And Zach Cassian.
Zach Cassian.
Okay,
yeah.
4.
Yeah, I mean,
and
I think it's important
Can you
to talk
name
about
another Edmonton player?
Klefbom. I think Klefbom's having a great start of the year, and we were talking about him last week or the week before, and he's really done well. I mean, he already has a goal and 6 assists in 6 games, so he's already at a point per game pace. Like, you can't ask for much more from a defenseman that hasn't done this before. So
even Darnell Nurse, he's proving himself. Is it finally his time to turn it around? He's at 5 points in 6 games, and yeah, you can't really justify too much off of only a few games played, but I think Darnell Nurse, this might be a season. He's not going to be like a 60-point getter,
I
but
mean-
40 to 50 again.
I mean, for Edmonton, like people think that it's like, oh, we've been waiting a few years now for Edmonton to be good. It's been before that, since Taylor Hall was drafted. Really, I remember going to a preseason game when they had Eberle, Taylor Hall, they had Magnus PRV, and I was like, man, these guys are gonna be so good
Huge
in a
nooge.
couple of years. And that's
Fucking
and Newton
nail Yakupov.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
They had all those
That's
first overall picks in a row, and that seems just like ancient history now. So I think they finally have that core. McDavid is obviously best player in the world. Draisaitl is an amazing player as well, and these periphery guys are kind of coming into their own. So I think this hot start is gonna start to be the new normal for them. I think they're definitely a playoff team, and I think they're gonna have a good year finally.
And they just scored again. My
they just
boy,
scored
Connor.
again.
Oh, no, it was huge nooge.
huge
Here's
news.
Connor.
That just fucking puts them both at 3 points tonight. Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. Did Carter Hart just get pulled?
That's
Yeah.
bad news for me. Oh, shit.
All right, so another guy who's getting off to a real hot start is Victor Olofsson with Buffalo. He was a guy that we talked about in a few episodes before, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but he already has, 5 goals? He's killing it.
Well, don't you worry. I have the stats in front of me. So he has in 6 games, and not so current event, but he has 5 goals, all of them on the power play, and 2 assists on 15 shots. So he's going at a 33% shooting percentage here, which is unbelievable. But yeah, Victor Olofsson, what a good pickup he had there at the end.
Yeah, I have him on my team, and 33%, that's not sustainable. Every once in a while, you see guys have these breakout years, and for whatever reason, the stars align, and they got like a 28% shooting percentage, and that's just not going to happen again, really. I think the league average for really good guys is around 20%. So if Olofsson gets 25 goals, I think that Buffalo and myself will be really happy. I mean, he was a guy who was a bit of a late flyer for them. He wasn't even at the beginning of the preseason a lock to make the team, and then he really played his way on. So he'll cool down a little bit. I don't think he's like a 40-goal guy yet, but I think if you have him on your team, definitely hold on to him, and maybe, he's a guy that you could sell high, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think you could definitely sell high on him right now. But saying that, he's playing a lot in these games. He's averaging about 18 minutes a game, which means the coach is giving him those opportunities. So he's going to be on that power play unit, and I see him continuing to score. Maybe not all of his goals will be on the power play, but I still think he's worth owning in leagues right now. He's only owned in 69% of the leagues right now. I think that number will go up, especially if he continues to play with your boy over there,
Jack Eichel.
Jack
My
Eichel.
sweet baby angel, Sour Patch Man. I miss him.
Yeah, he's found a home with me. He's a guy I think he's going to have a huge breakout this year. I've said that before on this podcast, and he's proven that he's the real deal. And
He
I think
is.
this year he could be a real threat to break 100 points.
Now, saying that Buffalo's power play percentage right now is 43%, which is kind of hard to sustain. They've already scored 9 power play goals, and they're hot out the gate here in 6 games. So that's something to think about.
But they're looking good. They've got all the pieces. It's coming together in Buffalo.
So, yeah, we're on the current events thing, and we're on hot starts. And I have to say, the scheduling this year for the NHL seems really, really weird. So, yeah, obviously this is going to be a little bit outdated by the time it goes out there. But as it stands right now, Toronto has played 8 games, and New York has played 3.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Which is really crazy. So if you're holding on to one of those New York guys, maybe like Zibanejad, and he's kind of dropping down that ranking a little bit, just take a look and be like, oh, he's only played 3 games. Because it's easy to be like, oh, man, he's not doing so well. He's 100th in scoring. The guys in Toronto played 5 more games than him. So Alex Kerfoot might be catching up to him in the scoring, but he's definitely not a better player. And at some point, those games are going to catch up, and you're going to have a lot of really high-quality scoring games from these guys.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I completely agree there. Zibanejad's he'll be number 1. Don't you worry. He was number 1 after, day 1, day 2. So he'll get back there.
Did the Rangers, did they play in Europe? Were they one of the teams that played in Europe? I'm trying to figure that out right now. Is that the reason why they only have played 3 games? Because they went
you're
across.
right. I think didn't they play in London or
No, that was a
something like
football game.
Oh fuck.
I didn't actually pay attention to that game. I have no idea. We're super misinformed. But
All I know is it started at 10 a.m. and we had to fucking jump on the lineups first thing in Friday morning.
Yeah.
They played one
Whatever day
game
it
in
was.
12 days, New York.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is crazy. And then Chicago as well has only played 4 games right now, so it's kind of hard to see. Patty Kane's done fairly well, but they've only won 1 game out of those 4 games. It's kind of hard to rate where they've been. And I want to preface this by saying this is very early for us to talk about these teams. I mean, we're not even 10 games into the season, so. But it is funny that Toronto has played twice the amount of games as some of these other teams.
Yeah,
so.
it's really interesting. It's kind of a weird scheduling thing. So getting back on track with the overperformers, or maybe, the hot starts. Who's another guy, James?
Another guy right now, I would say, is Dougie Hamilton on Carolina. Dougie Hamilton has 4 goals and 4 assists in 7 games. 3 of those points were on the power play. He has 23 shots, 6 hits, 9 block shots. He's doing really well. He has a 17% shooting percentage right now, and he's on pace for a monster season if he keeps this up. I mean, I don't believe he will. But if he continues, he's on pace for 47 goals, 47 assists, and 269 shots. Like this guy's a monster right now, and I think it also has something to do with Carolina being, doing very well right now. They're 6-1-0 in their first 7 games, and there's a couple other guys there that I think you need to keep track of. So. Maybe not the main studs like your boys, Aho and Teravainen and all those guys, but Eric Holla. I think people need to start taking notice of this guy, and this is my pick for sell high candidate because this guy has scored 5 goals in 7 games. He's only owned in 51% of leagues, and I don't think it's going to be sustainable. I don't think this guy is going to be able to keep it up.
Eric Holla, absolutely not.
Yeah. But he is playing on the second line. So he's got some value there, but Carolina
20,
just in
25
general.
goals for sure.
Yeah.
But further than that, no.
No. One guy I think you should pick up right now is Andrei Svechnikov.
Svechnikov.
Yeah. One of those.
Shishibla.
He's only scored 1 goal. And this is a goal scorer. But he has 7 assists. So he has 8 points in 7 games, 19 shots. So he's only shooting. He's at a 5% shooting right now, shooting percentage, and I think that's going to go up. I think he's going to score more. I think this guy is the real deal. He was drafted really high about 2 years ago. And what do you guys think about this guy? I'm really high on him.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think Svechnikov, he was a number 2 overall pick. Playing on a team like Carolina has just so much upside to them. Yeah, I see Svechnikov being one of their top guys. He's going to be a top 6 forward for the rest of his career. But yeah, I completely agree. Just going back on Eric Holla just quickly, I think that guy has a ton of upside. He's a super late pick, and he's a really overlooked, underrated guy. When he was, Minnesota to Vegas to Carolina, he's just waiting for his moment. And right now his moment is starting to come. And I agree with you that he's probably not going to keep those numbers consistent throughout the rest of the year. But somebody to keep an eye on in your watch league. If you have a deep league, I would keep an eye out for sure.
Another guy we got to look at when you look at the top list of scores right now, hilariously, for fantasy points in our league at least, James Neal is number 1.
Yeah.
He's not going to finish the year at number 1. Number 3 is Connor McDavid, and number 2 is Anthony Mantha with Detroit. He's a very talented guy. He's had some pretty good seasons before. He's caught the injury bug a couple times last year as well. Looking really legit. He's averaging about 19 minutes of ice time a night, which is really good for a young forward. I don't think he's going to finish, obviously in the top 10, but I think he's another guy who could put up 30 goals this year. So if he's available in your league, I'd scoop him up. But yeah, I think it's a hot start and he's going to dip a little bit. A 4-goal game really helps your stats early in the season.
Absolutely. But that top line in Detroit, they're looking good.
It's a 1-9 team.
Dylan Larkin is fastest man alive. You can't even see him on the TV.
He's so good.
He's flying out there. And Tyler Bertuzzi, he's a Bertuzzi. What else do you need?
Like Anthony Mantha, I really like him too. But I will say this: there are 2 games of the 6 already that he's gone scoreless. So I keep an eye on him. That 4-goal game kind of boosted him up. How about that? And in such a short time frame, it's kind of hard to assess where he should actually be. But 6 goals is pretty impressive for 6 games into the season. So,
and when you look at last year, he played 67 games and had 25 goals and 48 assists. Mm-hmm. And the year before that, he played 80 games and he had 24 goals and 48 assists. So basically what he's showing is he's going to be able to provide the points. Playing with a guy like Dylan Larkin is going to bring him up hugely. Anthony Mantha is due for at least 50 points this season as long as he stays healthy. I could not see anything less than 50 points at the end of the year.
Flying Frenchman.
Just a quick correction. You said 48 assists. He had 24 assists, 48 points.
Yes, 48 points.
Stat correction, 48 points. And I'm pretty sure New York Rangers did not play in Europe.
So he's had 48 points 2 years in a row, and that's really a nice thing to point out, Spenny, because he did it 2017-18. He did it in 80 games, and then last year in 67 games he had the same point total. So I think you're right. I think he's due for a big breakout this year. He's showing that right now in the beginning of the season. But Dylan Larkin, what a guy! He
my boy.
Yeah. So Derek got Dylan Larkin. He only had a 3rd round pick. That was his first pick in the draft, and you picked Dylan Larkin.
Hell yeah!
I was so close, man. I was so fucking close.
Yeah,
He was one. I really wanted to keep him. I had him on my team. He was a guy I had to draw the line at, but he is such a good player. He's so fast. He's really going to be, I think, part of that core there in Detroit. They have this really nice young core developing, so I think in 2 or 3 years they'll kind of get it back on track with Larkin, Bertuzzi, Mantha, and then I don't know what's going on with him, but Zadina, I think, he'll get there eventually. He's maybe, hopefully not, a Puljujarvi. Jesse Puljujarvi was supposed to be this amazing player, just kind of never showed up. So
He just loves home.
he just loves home.
He's a hometown boy.
He's a hometown boy. All right, so in overperformers, do we have another guy who is started the season hot that you guys think is going to fall off?
Oh, I got one big time for you. Ilya Kovalchuk. I got him with the last overall pick in the draft. I expected to drop him within 30 to 48 hours. And you know what? He's got 6 points in 6 games, 14 and a quarter fantasy points in our league of record. I don't expect this to stay on the up and up. That's just kind of not who he is, but good start for sure.
LA is bad this year. And just to finish off this overperformer segment, I mean, we really saw how bad they were because the Vancouver Canucks beat them 8-2 in Vancouver's home opener. And the really interesting thing in that game, we were kind of talking about before, is keeping your big contract starting goalie in net for 8 goals. That kind of reminded me of the Patrick Waugh thing in Montreal where they left him in for like 13 goals.
That's all I was thinking the whole time.
And then he comes off and he goes over to the president and he's like, "That's the last game I played in Montreal," and they trade him to Colorado. It's like, it's kind of a disrespect.
It's disrespectful.
Yeah.
I genuinely believed that's what was going to happen because luckily for me, I was fucking listening to these guys, these so-called experts that are talking about Jonathan Quick pumping his tires like, oh man, there's no way he's going to have a fucking shit season again. Every single night, every single day since the draft, Derek and I have been trying to make a trade for Jonathan Quick. We had one lined up so beautifully where it involved me getting his boy Pionk, Granlund, and potentially Kreider with Quick in the mix. Motherfucker lets in 8 goals on the day that we're about to execute the trade. And now, no dice, no bueno.
Immediately canceled that one.
And I've been sending so many trades ever since, and every time he's like,
15 to 30 a day.
fuck.
And not to throw shade at Derek, but Marcus Johansson, I think he's going to drop off here from the Buffalo Sabres. Talking about Buffalo again, Derek picked him up, and he did well. I could understand why you want to pick him up right now. He in 6 games he has 5 points, 3 goals and 2 assists, but he's only shot 4 times, so he has 3 goals on 4 shots on net, and he's only playing about 16, 15 minutes a night. So. Yes, he looks great on the box score right now. I just don't think he's going to be able to keep that up. I mean, 75% shooting.
Hey, he played 19 minutes in one of his games. He's getting out there.
All
He
right.
started overtime. He got the game winner that night.
With these older guys, they don't really turn into something new after, he's been in the league for 8 years or something. With these younger guys, they're super intriguing because you don't really know what they are yet. And then you have the guys going back to Vancouver, like Miller, JT Miller comes to a new team. He's always had that promise. He's always been a pretty good player on pretty good teams, but this is the first time he's really getting those first line minutes, and he's been awesome, especially in these banger leagues. So I think, what do you guys think about him? I think he's an awesome guy if you can pick him up.
JT Miller?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's playing on the first line in Vancouver right now with our boy EP and Brock Besser, and having Quinn Hughes and Tyler Myers now on the back end. They're really moving the puck nicely, and Alex Edler now doesn't need to be a fucking Iron Man. He can kind of focus on his game, and the team is better. And I think JT Miller, especially the other night when he scored 2 power play goals, he's someone you should keep your eye on, especially if he continues to be on that first line.
He just brings that energy. We've been missing that for so many years.
All right, so wrapping up this episode, just kind of on the teams that we talked about. Carolina Hurricanes, starting the season hot. Are they a playoff team, yes or no?
Yes.
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 Vancouver Canucks, are they a playoff team, yes or no?
I don't know. I'm not going to say yes yet. We are Canucks fans, but I'm on the fence.
I said yes or no, not yes, no, or I don't know.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I guess, skimming the wild card, but yes.
I'm a big Canucks fan, but I'm still saying no. I think they fall just short, but I think it's good in the long run. I mean, they're not going to win the fucking cup this year, so just take a couple more years, and you'll get there. And then another team, hot starter, Edmonton. Are they back in the playoffs this year?
No. I'm going to say no.
Edmonton scares the hell out of me, but I'm going to say yes.
Fuck. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm going to say yes, too, just because I love McDavid and I love Draisaitl, but that's not a hard yes. That's the softest, limpest yes
I
you'll
think
ever
it
hear.
takes 1 or 2 injuries, and that team falls apart, and they have no depth, like you said.
2 injuries.
It literally takes 2 injuries, and then they're done. I think, it's hard to bet on a team like that right now.
If those guys stay healthy, though, if they can both play 82 games, 100% they're a playoff team.
Look out.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I just, it's hard to say that with their goaltending. Mike Smith's played all right, but Mike Smith is not the same player he was a couple years ago, and Koskinen is, well, he's not really that great. So I'm not relying on those two I wouldn't want to rely on those two in the playoffs. How about that?
No, especially not Koskinen.
Definitely not.
All right, so let's leave it at that. Those are our overperformers, our hot starts, and what you can expect from those guys going forward. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time on the Puck Boys podcast.